What's up, y'all? This is going to be a tip for everybody, especially those of you who are in positions of sales positions, right? Or you're somebody who deals with customers, or you're in a position where you have to show people the value of something, all right? Now, inevitably, when we get in sales conversations or conversations in general, you're going to have a back and forth, and at some point, questions are going to come up about your credibility, your comparison, meaning your product or service in comparison to your competition, and things of that nature, right? But what I want to talk about is this, okay? This is something that I become very, very good at, right? And it is your ability to articulate a position, your position, whatever it is, in a way that beats your competition without lying, cheating, or bending the truth. And a lot of people have trouble doing this. They resort to throwing their competition under the bus, right? Unnecessarily. They bend the truth. They avoid questions and objections, and they don't really know how to properly position themselves. So I'm going to give you an example here. I have a million examples of this. I've done lectures and events on this stuff because this is a higher level of creativity and thinking for you as a person, but I think everybody could really benefit from this, okay? Because it's something that might take you a while to really implement at the highest level, but it's extremely versatile in its application, and it's very handy, okay? And it influences at the highest levels. Because when things are delivered honestly and powerfully like this, it's very difficult to beat you, okay? So let me give you an example. Typically, people who are in business, when they're going up against a competitor, if you're in the position of being the one who has less experience, less sales, less volume, less numbers, right, and the statistics aren't in your favor, a lot of times people feel hopeless, right? If someone has been in a particular business for 20 years versus they've only been in it for 2 years, they feel like, man, how am I going to beat that person? Well, you need to be resourceful. What's an angle that you can create, right? I'm in the real estate industry as an example, and I know for a fact that if I look at particular metrics, there's many I can look at, I can create an advantage for myself, right? And this is something I teach my students. So traditionally in my industry, people, the consumer especially, or other agents and brokers, will write on the fact of how many homes they've sold, right? How long they've had their license and how long they've been in the business, how many sales they've made this year, right? It's very heavy on time in the business. So typically the consumer tends to try to filter out potential agents that they're going to work with or consider based on that criteria. So if you're the one with less experience, how do you win in this case? Well, you need to use your mind and think, well, are there other metrics? Indeed, there are. There are many other metrics. So as an example, one of those metrics, and this is something that I used early on in my career, was when we put up a home for sale, it's considered a listing. Now there's a ratio called listing taken to listing sold ratio, meaning out of all the listings I've taken in the last month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, how many have gone and actually successfully closed? Okay. Now, let's say you're newer, you've done 1 or 2. Okay. Now, if you've taken 2 and you've closed 2, guess what? Your list to sales price ratio, your listing taken to listing sold ratio, I'm sorry, right? Got to make sure I distinguish this correctly. Listing taken to listing sold ratio is 100% in this case if you took 2. Now, if your competition took 10 and sold 7, as an example, their listing taken to sold ratio is only 70%. So effectively, I've now created an angle against somebody who, by their terms and definition, is superior to me. However, I use facts, logic, and reason, and my creativity to create an angle. Now, if we just, again, argue about who sold more homes, technically they have. However, this is an important metric. Because now when I discuss it with the client, even if they bring up, well, how many was it? Well, they sold 10, you only sold 2. I'll say, you're right, they've sold more. However, what's important? What's more important to you? What if you were one of those 3 that didn't sell? Would you be okay with that? What sounds better to you, Mr. Client? A 100% chance to sell your home or a 70% chance to sell your home? You see, I just effectively very quickly showed you one way of creating an angle that is honest, forthcoming, transparent, and there's no cheating or scheming here. This is the next level of persuasion and communication. When without bending any rules, lying, being deceitful, you can use the resources available to you to become more powerful, right? And this is the key, and this is what I've been teaching for a long time. This is something that you really need to tap into. This will keep money in your pocket. This will keep you employed. This will keep you running your own business at the highest level, and this is everything that you need, okay? So I'll end it here, y'all. If you're interested in learning more techniques like this, obviously I offer my coaching at bryancasella.com, Modern Success, and I have a tier 1 and tier 2 being for the people who are more advanced. I also sell products on my website, and I'm also doing an event exclusively focused on like sales and that kind of stuff that's going to be more driven towards neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis at higher levels. That event is called My Voice Will Go With You. You can also find that on my website. That's going to be in about 2 weeks from the filming of this video. Other than that, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, drop me a comment below, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.